Hello people of YouTube, my name is Tom and welcome back to Bigger Feet. Last time we had an exploration in sort of general about the being of cine lenses. Why would you want them? What are their advantages? How are they different from photography lenses? But today we are going to have a deeper look into my personal SLR Magic Microprimes. I've got the 12, 25, 50 and 75mm and we will be doing some pixel peeping, drooling at smooth bokeh, and discovering some really rather annoying inconsistencies between them. You can call this a review if you like, that's fine, it sort of is, but for me, it really is just an excuse to get to know my gear a bit better. First, some of my general impressions of the lenses. We'll get to the optics right after. So number one, build quality. It's good, it's not great. They are not dust resistant or weather sealed in any way. There's also just a slight gap between the plating on the front and the outer housing on all of the lenses, which water and dust will be very happy to get into, but not very happy to get out of. So be a bit careful there. After a day on the beach, my personal 50mm has started grinding a bit at the shorter end of the focus range. Speaking of focus, all four of them have a 150-degree focus throw. And in my opinion, that is a perfect middle ground. Any bigger and I wouldn't be able to use the whole throw in one motion. Any smaller and you really start losing precision. I do have one wish about the focus throw across the whole range though, and that is that it was a little bit more linear than it currently is, because in its current setup you have a lot of precision at the short end of the focus range, but very little at the long end of the focus range. Particularly with the 50 and 75's shallow depth of field, it is hard to nail focus in the mid to long range. Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for, optics. The quality of the image, the relentless manipulation of photons by a stack of glass. I like it on 3 out of 4 lenses. We'll get to that, but generally speaking, when shooting wide open, they all have significant, what we've established in the last episode, character, which is to say they are fairly soft, they vignette fairly heavily, they have some chromatic aberrations and other distortions. For more dreamy sequences and more stereotypically cinematic stuff, that character can be quite handy, but for day-to-day stuff, stop them down to T2, T2.8, and most of that vignetting and unsharpness and low contrast just disappears. None of them clean up perfectly, even stopping down to T5.6 or T8, but they clean up to such an extent that I really like their look. Neutral, but with some subtle flavoring, if you will. What's nice as well is that the 25, 50 and 75 all have 13 rounded aperture blades, which is a lot, and that really helps maintain smooth, creamy, out of focus areas when you stop them down. They do all flare and glare quite a bit, but not in a way that I personally find overbearing, and they're mostly color consistent across the range. There is one very major exception though, and that is the 25mm T1.5. I told you we were getting to it. The 25mm is the only one that I bought secondhand, and the reason for that is that it was discontinued and they replaced it with a 21, which was slightly wider than what I was looking for. But I regret that decision very much. The 25 flares and glares to an extent that very quickly becomes unusable. The flaring straight up is just solid. But that's not the worst part, especially because I have a whole lineup of these. The actual worst part is that the color transmission of the 25, which coincidentally I'm talking to right now, is significantly warmer than the whole entire rest of the lineup. Even my random collection of vintage lenses is consistently more color consistent with the SLR Magics than the 25mm SLR Magic. That makes it genuinely annoying to use the 25mm in combination with the other lenses in one sequence, because you just get inconsistent footage out of your camera that you then have to deal with in post, which is finicky and not something that anyone wants to waste their time on. And it's especially a shame because the 25mm has been my biggest workhorse. I like this focal length a lot, and aside from the ridiculous color transmission and flaring issues, it's a very nice lens. When I eventually replace it with the brand new 21mm, which I will do, I'm sure it will fit in its place just fine. So long story short, even though one of the 4 is a dud, I do not regret my decision to get cine lenses in the first place, let alone my lineup of SLR Magics. They feel really nice to work with, they perfectly suit my usual run and gun style of shooting, and their image quality is just really lovely. That's going to do it for me for today. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe to keep an eye on this channel, because the next video will be me comparing vintage lenses to cine lenses in a bit more specific detail. Looking forward to seeing you then. Ciao.